would probably agree they'd like the borders secured. We've screamed that out for years. The government won't secure the borders because they don't represent we the people, no matter which party gets in. Republicans had it from 2000, 2006, wouldn't secure the borders. Democrats not going to secure the borders either. That unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Now, other than Eisenhower, 1961, and that's as far back as we're going on presidential clips, we could go back into all kind of different stuff, but time won't permit. JFK in 1963 made a speech. Anytime you watch the documentaries on the History Channel or any of those about the assassination, they do not play this clip. Why? They do not want you to know some of the things that JFK said was happening prior to his assassination. Now, people have all kind of different ideas of why he was assassinated. I've got a couple myself I'm going to share with you. But let's play, this is called the Secret Society speech by JFK. Let's listen closely to what he said 2 years before he was assassinated.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly...
Okay. Hopefully we can play the rest of that, because he is saying that there is secret societies manipulating the government at that time. That is what JFK is saying. One of the few speeches by a president actually saying secret societies and stating that there is a hidden hand behind the government manipulating events and actually controlling the presidency of the United States. And if you look into JFK 1, Executive Order 1110, he was going to abolish the Federal Reserve. He went ahead and was printing his own money. He was printing money backed by silver. And anytime you buck the real power, which is the Federal Reserve banking system, and we're going to get into that in a moment, then this may well be why JFK was assassinated, or one of the main reasons, because he was printing his own money, going against, contrary to the Federal Reserve. His said United States notes on it. They had red seals. I've got some of them. You can look it up. I think he printed about $4 billion worth. 5 months after he was assassinated, they done away with all of that money, because if you look at our Federal Reserve, can you play the rest?
A little bit of it.
Okay, we'll just hang on to it. If you look at the Federal Reserve banking system, one, the Federal Reserve is not part of the government. It masquerades as a government entity. It's privately owned bankers. And the way our monetary system works here in America is so ridiculous that if the American people would wake up and see what's actually happening, they would be out in the streets screaming bloody murder. when the Treasury prints a $100 bill, it is on loan to the American people for $100 plus interest. As soon as it's printed, they printed it for pennies because it's nothing but paper. It's backed by nothing. It's not backed by silver and gold. It's just paper. And our founding fathers said, one, never have a central bank, which is what we've had since 1913 with the Federal Reserve banking system. And they said, two, never have a paper currency. Gold and silver is money. Paper's not money. All right, so when they print a $100 bill, it is on loan to the American people for $100 plus interest. All it does is create debt. That's why we're $12 trillion past bankrupt. And we're going to stay that way. As long as we've got a Federal Reserve banking system creating these booms and busts, we're going to stay in these cycles. When we was on the gold standard, we didn't have these problems. Been off the gold standard since Nixon was in office. But our money is nothing but paper, and they're printing it hand over fist. The reason gold is skyrocketing, gold is what now, $1,200 practically?
$11.40 something.
$11.40 an ounce. Gold's not going up. Your dollar's becoming less valuable. Gold's not going anywhere. Your dollar's plummeting. That's what's happening. That's why they say gold's going up. Really, your dollar's becoming more and more worthless. And it's going to continue to become more and more worthless because all of this is being done by design. It can't be by happenstance. If you want to create a one-world government, you can't have the United States of America way up here and all these other countries down here. You got to level the playing field. And that's why this economic collapse took place last September. Can you play the rest of it?
Not the rest of it, maybe a minute or so.
That's probably all of it.
Probably fine.
Efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence.
He was wanting to alert and warn the American people of the secret society's manipulation in his own administration. Between that and trying to buck the Federal Reserve banking system, which he knew was bankrupting America and that's all it would ever do, he was assassinated. This is a quote by Thomas Jefferson. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Already they have raised up moneyed aristocracies that has set the government at defiance. The issuing money or power should be taken away from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. The issue of money is supposed to be delegated to the Congress. It's not supposed to be delegated to a private group of bankers that are manipulating our government. Now, while we're talking about the Federal Reserve banking system, last September, when they started those ridiculous bailouts, and that was still under Bush, the phone calls to D.C. was well over 90% against these bailouts. No one wanted to bail out Wall Street. They done it anyway. Then, to top it all off, the Federal Reserve bankers got the money, and it wasn't $700 billion, it was more like $22 trillion, and they have held the money. They've not loaned it back out to Main Street. The Treasury was looted by the Federal Reserve, and then when Ben Bernanke comes to Congress to testify, he tells them, we're not going to tell you who got the money. We're not going to tell you how much money they got or why. We're not going to tell you nothing. If that don't tell the American people who has the power, it's not the Congress of the United States, it's the Federal Reserve banking system. They're the ones that are manipulating things. The old golden rule, who has the gold rules. That's what we're seeing here in America. We should consider that we're being manipulated into accepting as normal a march into a 1984 Orwellian society of government control. Right now, as Steve said, they're voting on health care. That's 1/7 of the economy.